that Tsaritsa could end up being one of the biggest characters of the entire Snezhnaya era. And what makes things even more interesting is that we may already be getting clues about how our future team could work. The upcoming characters Mitya, Valeriy, and Danica are all connected to the new Snezhnaya reaction system in different ways, and looking at them together gives us some interesting possibilities for the Cryo Archon. But there is one major question. What kind of character will the Tsaritsa actually be? Some information has suggested a powerful support and sub-DPS, while other reports point toward much stronger personal damage. So today, we're going through the current information surrounding the Tsaritsa, the characters that could potentially work with her, and what all of this could mean for your Primogems. Keep in mind that this is based on current, unofficial information and predictions. None of the unreleased kit details should be considered final. Let's get started. Let's start with the most important character in this entire discussion, the Tsaritsa. She is the Cryo Archon of Snezhnaya, and she is currently expected to arrive around version 7.3. Naturally, expectations are extremely high. Every Archon release attracts a huge amount of attention, and the Tsaritsa is arguably one of the most anticipated characters in the entire game. The interesting part is that the information surrounding her role hasn't been completely consistent. Some earlier reports described her as a character with strong team utility and a role connected to the new Snezhnaya reaction system. More recent information has suggested that she could also have very strong personal damage and potentially take a much more active role on the field. Personally, I think we should be careful about choosing one version of the story right now. We don't have enough reliable information to say that the Tsaritsa is definitely a main DPS. At the same time, I also wouldn't assume that she's going to be purely a support character. The most interesting possibility would be a character who already provides strong value at C0, while higher investment gives her considerably more personal damage. That would give her value to both free-to-play players and players who want to invest heavily into their favorite Archon. But the characters surrounding her could give us even more clues. The first character I want to talk about is Danica. Danica is currently associated with version 7.3 and is one of the characters being discussed alongside the Tsaritsa. Her exact kit is not reliable enough for us to treat every current claim as fact. However, several reports have connected her to the new Cryo and Electro reaction teams. This is what makes her interesting. If Danica ends up providing strong support for both sides of the new reaction system, she could become an important teammate for several Snezhnaya characters. And that could include the Tsaritsa. Personally, Danica is one of the characters I'd watch very closely. Not because we can already say that she's the Tsaritsa's best support, but because a dedicated support arriving around the same time as the Cryo Archon could be a very important part of the team-building strategy in version 7.3. But until we get more reliable information about her actual abilities, I wouldn't start saving specifically for her based on one kit report. Now, let's move back to version 7.2. Midia is currently expected to be a 5-star Electro character. He's particularly interesting because of his reported connection to the new Snezhnaya reaction system. Some current information suggests that elemental mastery could play an important role in his gameplay. There are also reports suggesting that his on-field and off-field functionality could be quite different. If these reports are accurate, Midia could potentially make the reaction itself more important to his damage rather than simply using the reaction as a way to activate another effect. That could make him a very interesting character even outside of a future Tsaritsa team. And this is something I want to point out. I don't think we should automatically assume that Mitya is going to be the Tsaritsa's mandatory teammate. Just because two characters are connected to the same reaction doesn't mean they have to be played together. Midia could end up being a strong standalone character with his own teams. So if you're interested in him, I'd wait for more reliable information before deciding whether you actually need him for the Tsaritsa. Then we have Valerie. Valerie is currently expected to be a 4-star character associated with version 7.2. His exact kit is also not something we should treat as finalized. However, current reports have suggested that he could provide useful team support, including defensive utility and buffs connected to the new reaction system. And if even part of that ends up being accurate, Valerie could be particularly interesting for free-to-play players. The reason is simple. Not everyone is going to pull every 5-star character in Snezhnaya. A strong 4-star character who can fill an important team role could therefore be extremely valuable. Personally, I think Valerie is one of the characters people shouldn't overlook simply because he's a 4-star. We have seen plenty of 4-star characters become extremely important to certain teams. So if Valerie ends up supporting the same teams as Midia and the Tsaritsa, he could become a very useful option for players who don't want to spend hundreds of wishes building a premium team. Now, let's put all of these characters together. We have the Tsaritsa potentially arriving in version 7.3. We have Danica being associated with the same release window. We have Mitya potentially developing another side of the new reaction system. And we have Valerie potentially giving players a more accessible support option. When you look at all of that together, it starts to look like Snezhnaya is building an entirely new team archetype. And that is what makes the Tsaritsa so interesting. She doesn't necessarily need to be a character who does everything by herself. She could instead become the centerpiece of a new reaction-focused team, while characters like Danica and other supports provide the utility she needs. And if the newer reports about her personal damage are accurate, she could potentially combine that team utility with very strong damage of her own. Personally, I think that would be the best outcome. I would rather see the Tsaritsa be a complete and useful character at C0, with higher constellations improving her personal damage, instead of making her feel incomplete without heavy investment. That would make her much more appealing to the average player. Now comes the part that matters most. Should you start saving for the Tsaritsa? If she is your favorite character, then I think saving is completely reasonable. We're still several versions away from her expected release, which gives players time to build up primo gems. And that could be important because there are already several characters coming before her that players might want. Vesna and Vodianitsa are currently expected in 7.1. Midia and Valerie are associated with 7.2. Then we have the Tsaritsa and Danica around 7.3. There could also be reruns during these versions. So if the Tsaritsa is your #1 priority, you probably shouldn't treat every earlier banner as an opportunity to spend everything you have. Personally, I would decide on my priority list now. If there's a character you absolutely want before the Tsaritsa, save enough for them. But after that, I'd start building a reserve specifically for the Archon. After looking at all of this information, my interest in the Tsaritsa is actually higher than before. Not because I believe every current report about her kit. We simply don't have enough reliable information yet. What interests me is the bigger picture. The characters around her seem to be pointing toward a new Snezhnaya team-building system. And if the Tsaritsa becomes one of the central characters in that system, she could have a much bigger impact on the meta than just being another cryo DPS. Danica is the character I'm watching most closely as her potential support. Midia could become an important character for the reaction system in his own right. And Valerie could potentially provide a much more accessible option for players who don't want to invest heavily. But I wouldn't pull any of them solely because of the Tsaritsa right now. Wait for better information. Your primo gems are too valuable to spend based on speculation alone. So here's where we currently stand. The Tsaritsa is expected around version 7.3, but her final role is still unclear. Some reports point towards strong support and sub-DPS capabilities. Others suggest much stronger personal damage. Danica could potentially become an important teammate for the new Snezhnaya reaction teams, but her exact kit is still uncertain. Midia could bring a different approach to the reaction system in version 7.2. And Valerie could become an important 4-star option for players who want to build these teams without spending heavily. For now, I think the smartest approach is to keep saving if the Tsaritsa is your main target. Don't assume every current kit report is going to survive until release. And don't feel pressured to skip characters you genuinely want just because the Tsaritsa is coming later. But if she's the character you've been waiting for throughout the Snezhnaya storyline, then this is probably the time to start planning your primo gems. Because if even part of the current information ends up being accurate, version 7.3 could be one of the biggest character releases we've seen in Genshin Impact. Let me know who you're saving for and whether the current Tsaritsa information has changed your pull plans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.